Among the sociological perspectives, we were discussing major sociological perspectives, and we have already covered three types of perspectives. We are moving on to the fourth one today, and that is interactionism. So, interactionism, it has to do with the level of analysis of the realities. So, from the sociological perspective, we look at analysis of the realities micro-sociologically or macro-sociologically. So we look at from the narrow perspective as well as from the broad perspective. So sociology that focuses primarily on persons and interpersonal relations is called micro-sociology. So there is focus is on, let's say, individual actions and the interactions between or among the individuals. So we are focusing at a very micro level. That doesn't mean that these interactions at the micro level don't have implications at a broader level. Definitely the interactions which take place at a small scale, they could have large scale implications to other let's say entities. For example, we might be looking at the interaction of the members of the board of directors in a particular organization. Now this board of directors is interacting, let's say, at a small scale between and amongst themselves, and as a product of their interaction they might be taking certain decisions. Now these decisions may be having implications for large number of people who are working in that particular organization. It may have implications with respect to their jobs, with their employment status, and other types of job realities. So that is how we look at. Focus is on micro level of the reality, but definitely these let's say studies at the micro level might be having implications at a very large scale. So similarly, we could also look at some of the decisions at the, let's say, very small scale, decisions in the family of let's say of the couples, whether to have babies and how many babies are they going to have. Now these patterns of having babies at the individual level might have implications for the population growth at the country level. So individual decisions or individual interactions can have let's say its implications at large scale as well. Similarly, we might see that a couple or a family decides to migrate from one area to another area, from one country to another country, and there could be a number of families who might migrate. That migration of individual families can have implications at a large scale. This might be with respect to the growth of people in another place or in another area or a country, or it may have then structural kind of implications of the place where they are ending their migration. So that is how we see that this individual level decisions or individual level interactions can have, let's say, effects on different large scale situations. So symbolic interaction is one such prominent perspective within this major perspective. Among the symbolic interactionists, we see that George Herbert Mead laid down its foundation, and we further see that Herbert Blumer was an important, let's say, pioneer of this symbolic interaction. So their emphasis is on how during the course of interaction people develop their own identities. Identities might be with respect to their self, and this self might be looked at from various angles. We look at from the angle of the age, might be the identity of a person as a young person, as a youth, identity of a person as an adult, identity of a person as an old person, as a man, as a woman, as a head of the family. But that is how this affects the identity of a person. And this is important because on the basis of this identity, people try to play different roles, as interacting members of the society. If a person identifies himself or considers himself as an old person, then there are certain, let's say, roles associated with an old person. So that is how it affects the let's say realization of one's own identity. Then there the people's senses of how society works. That means that people also try to make a situation, identify the situation with respect to the functioning of the society, how the society operates, how people interact with each other. And thirdly, what constitutes fair play. So that's with respect to the playing of the roles or the patterns of the roles in the society. So that is how it affects the individual identities of the persons, then their senses of how society works, and what constitutes the fair play or the play which is expected with respect to the norms of the society. Theoretically, this perspective is linked to the pragmatic school of philosophy, which emphasizes the ways in which not only the social order but all knowledge is achieved in practically situated action. So we look at this place that we see that how the social equilibrium comes in place, how people are functioning with respect to each other in a coordinated kind of function.